Good evening, I'm Ed Zerker, I'm the city manager. Welcome to this beautiful city facility, Burton Barr Central Library. This is budget hearing number 6 of 19. So welcome to this here in District 7. I'm going to say just some housekeeping things and I'll turn it over to Councilman Nowakowski. But this is the annual process where we have a trial budget, some ideas on how to spend some money, and we ask the community to come and give us feedback on that. But we also take feedback on a lot of other things too. We've heard a lot so far, just things that aren't specifically about the budget, but that are important. And that's an important part of this process in Phoenix, that we listen. And it's a value of our council for us to get out and to hear what is on people's minds. Just some housekeeping things. We're going to talk about our city's trial budget. We're going to have a video that's going to be a very high-level overview. If you want more detail, it's in this package, tabloid. This is available in English and Spanish. And at this point, I'm going to ask our interpreter if she would introduce herself for anyone who needs Spanish language interpretation. En español? Thank you, Carmen. So the tabloid has information. If you want even more information, you can go online at phoenix.gov/budget. If you'd like to speak this evening, we're going to ask you to come up here to the microphone to speak so everyone can hear. Also, so you can be captured on Phoenix TV, who is filming this. It's replayed on Channel 11. It's also available on the city's YouTube channel. It allows council members or people from other parts of town to see what is being said in budget hearings throughout the city. We have many budget hearings going at the same time, so it's not possible for everybody to be at every one, but you can always go back and see what you've said or what someone else has said. If you'd like to speak, we'd ask you to fill out a card. We have 12 of those so far, so if you want to speak, you haven't filled out a card, please fill out one of these cards and give it to one of the staff. So we're glad you're here. We have some good news about our budget that we want to share with you. And at this point, I will turn it over to the District 7 Councilman, Michael Nowakowski.
Well, thank you. Just a couple minutes ago, I was with our ex-mayor, Phil Gordon. We were at the Paz Cantina. We were just walking. He was walking me to my car, and he goes, Michael, could you imagine this? 10 years ago, all these buildings and all this activity in downtown Phoenix. I go, no, Mayor, it's really about the vision that you had and my colleagues and the people in this room. And I just really want to thank you all for being a part of this process, because I call it the Team Phoenix approach, where we all come together and we come up with some wild ideas, but sometimes those wild ideas become reality. And I really want to thank our staff. We have a lot of staff members here. If you all could just raise your hand or stand up and be recognized really quick. And I want to really thank you for all your hard work and making us one of the best cities. And also, we have some future leaders. We have some interns from District 7 that go to St. Mary's High School. If you would like to stand up, and Nestor and Rafael. And with that, let's get the video started.
Welcome to your first look at the City of Phoenix trial budget for 2019-20, proposed by the city manager for public review and comment. The city budget is about people and programs for a stronger Phoenix. Every year, the city prepares a trial budget. This process gives you, our residents, an opportunity to share your priorities and feedback on how tax dollars are spent. 3 important points about this year's budget. It is balanced, which is required by law, and there is a surplus to allocate toward people and programs. Also, for the first time since the recession, ongoing revenues are equal to ongoing costs. We have a nearly $1.4 billion structurally balanced general fund budget thanks to Phoenix's continued strong economy and sound leadership by the mayor and city council. These efforts have led to a projected surplus of $55 million, of which $35 million is in ongoing resources and $20 million is in one-time resources. Over the next several minutes, we'll provide you a high-level view of the recommendations for how that surplus could be spent. Approximately 70% of the surplus is proposed for employee compensation, and the remaining 30% is proposed for services. And $5.5 million to continue investing in the Public Safety Pension Reserve Trust Fund to protect against unexpected downturns in investments. The 2019-20 trial budget continues to provide the core services residents expect. Chief among these is public safety. In addition, many recommendations are focused on improving neighborhoods, parks, libraries, support for outreach and services for people experiencing homelessness, additional street landscape maintenance, and preparations for the 2020 census. The city also continues to invest in maintaining the facilities you depend on and the fleet of vehicles that provide you everything from police response to street cleanups. Besides these proposals, we'll highlight expenditures that help the city address growth in construction and maintain the city's wastewater infrastructure. First, general fund recommendations. The general fund is made up of several different sources of revenue, including sales taxes, state shared revenue, and property taxes. 3/4 of the general fund pays for police, fire, and courts, with a smaller portion, the remaining 25%, going for everything else, like libraries, parks, senior services, arts, and administrative and support functions. The primary focus of the general fund service additions is public safety across a wide array of departments. Here are some of the proposals. 8 new firefighter positions to provide 24-hour operations at Fire Station 55 at I-17 and Jomax Road in North Phoenix. The creation of 1 new fire department crisis intervention unit, and in the police department, de-escalation training and community response services support for officer-involved shootings. These recommendations are based on public feedback from last year's budget process and the city's Traumatic Incident Intervention Resources Ad Hoc Committee. Another key area of public safety funding is focused on improving police support processes, using civilian staff to free up police officers' valuable time for calls and service. First, the addition of 10 civilian positions to support a federally mandated transition to the FBI's Uniform Crime Reporting National Incident-Based Reporting System. And second, the addition of 13 positions to streamline police booking procedures and create 2 new centralized booking centers to get officers back on the street faster. The trial budget also provides funding for increased inspection capacity to ensure buildings are meeting fire safety codes. Other public safety allocations: public defender representation for veterans and individuals with mental illness. In human services, add a caseworker and a vehicle to provide mobile victim advocacy. Security guard staffing at every library. Technology funding for cybersecurity to protect the city's infrastructure. In all, the trial budget proposes spending an additional $6.5 million on these and other public safety additions. Now, let's look at where you live, investments in programs to strengthen neighborhoods. First, the budget would allocate approximately $1 million to add staff to work with neighborhood groups, to clean up blight, work with nearby businesses, and improve response times for neighborhood issues. Parks and Recreation would see 8 new park ranger positions to increase patrol coverage at neighborhood and urban parks for a cost of about $1.1 million. Street Transportation and Public Works would support neighborhoods by transitioning staff from a temporary to permanent status to clean up encampments and washes and right-of-way for a cost of $970,000. Historic Preservation would also get $75,000 to support historic property preservation. In all, neighborhood revitalization would see an additional $3.5 million in funding. Next, Community Services additions restore some desired programs to strengthen the community and expand other resident requests, including restoration of Sunday library hours at 4 branches means all libraries will be open to provide greater access to in-demand books, movies, classes, and programs for library patrons of all ages. Expand the Phoenix Teens program for youth at 10 city sites, providing youth programs 6 days per week at a cost of $448,000. Providing case management assistance for homeless seniors and grant funding for arts organizations for youth and underserved communities would also be included. The budget would also add $1.3 million for long-standing street landscape maintenance needs, increasing frequency of maintenance from 3 to 4 times per year. New this year, a proposal to allocate funding to implement participatory budgeting or other projects in City Council districts. Lastly, the city will invest in outreach to encourage residents to take part in the 2020 census. Given the move to digital form submission this census, the additional funds will help to ensure hard-to-count and hard-to-reach populations participate, so that Phoenix gets its fair share of the approximately $866 million in annual revenues allocated through federal programs for public safety, transportation, housing, and human services. Overall, added general fund expenditures outlined in the trial budget total $55.2 million and would add 131 positions to strengthen our people, programs, services, and infrastructure. Moving on to propose non-general fund additions for a variety of services. Strengthening our street transportation department with 11 positions added or converted to full-time for a variety of services to support increasing work in the right-of-way and the recently expanded street maintenance funding in the Capital Improvement Program budget, $768,000. Water Services will see 21 positions and approximately $2.9 million in funding to keep up with demand at the department's 91st Avenue treatment site, the state's largest. The site is currently treating 180 million gallons of water a day for more than 2.5 million residents in 5 cities. Finally, 19 positions for planning and development to address increasing construction demand, including reduction of turnaround times for pre-application submittals and complex commercial architectural plans. Added staff to ensure adherence to fire system requirements and ADA accessibility codes, and to maintain a 24-hour turnaround time for residential inspections. Thank you for taking the time to learn more about the 2019-20 trial budget. We hope that you'll review additional details in the budget pamphlet available at one of our 19 community budget hearings and online at phoenix.gov/budget. Please share your feedback in whatever way works best for you, at a public meeting or via email at budget.research@phoenix.gov. You can comment on the city's social media at CityofPhoenixAZ on Facebook or Twitter and use #PhoenixBudget, or call us at 602-262-4800. Thank you for being part of this important process.
Okay, we'll get to the comments. I do want to add, again, make a pitch for this. The video is 8 minutes and there's a limit to what you can put in there. I wanted to pull something out of this booklet while we're here in District 7 and give credit to Councilman Nowakowski. In the public safety side, there's the addition of an ambulance, a full-time ambulance company in Southwest Phoenix in Levine, where we currently don't have ambulance service. And Councilman was really instrumental in bringing that to light as an issue. There's also things in here about adding park activation and teen programs that are important. So I'd encourage you to just take some time after the meeting or during the meeting to look through this and find some of the detail. But with that, I'll turn it back to the councilman and we'll take the cards. I'll have a timer going for about 3 minutes per speaker so we can give people enough time to speak, but also allow time for everyone. So with that, Councilman Nowakowski.
Alrighty, we're here really to listen to you all. So this is how we can be good stewards with your tax dollars. So come on down. Who's the first one? Mark Ibarra. Oh, absolutely.
Mark Ibarra, Andrew Rao, and Gabriela Saavedra. Garfield, 13th Street.
Hello, good evening. My name is Gabriela Saavedra, and I'm here representing the Garfield organization with my neighbor Mark and my husband Andrew. We are a neighborhood alliance formed by other Garfield residents with the sole interest of fostering a stronger sense of community to create a safer, a more beautiful, and a more connected neighborhood. Now let me tell you why we're here today. In 2008, the City of Phoenix commissioned a preliminary roadway and drainage analysis for 13th Street from Moreland to Van Buren Streets to improve drainage conditions. The intent was to develop alternatives for the installation of curbs, gutters, and asphalt along 13th Street. 11 years later, nothing has changed. There are still no curbs and gutters, so every time it rains in the valley, especially in this area, 13th Street and the cross streets along the approximately 1 mile long stretch between Moreland and Van Buren become water pools. Residents frequently deal with flooding as water covers sidewalks and enters their front yards and their homes every single monsoon season. Soon after the rain, but before drying out, residents deal with not only standing murky water, but mold and debris. When the rainwater dries, most of the 13th Street is filled with clouds of dust. This brings yet another issue to the residents. Those seeking to park next to their own homes along the side of the road on 13th Street have been ticketed by the City of Phoenix Police for parking on non-dust-proof surfaces. Where else would and could they park if not in front of their own homes? Clearly, these residents often find themselves in this catch-22 situation that without a doubt would not be tolerated in most communities. Moreover, Garfield Elementary School is located on the southeast corner of 13th Street and Roosevelt and has its main entrance along 13th Street. All children attending Garfield Elementary walk through clouds of dust, water pools, mold, and other debris on a regular basis. For those of you who are unaware, Garfield is also a recognized historic neighborhood adjacent to other historic neighborhoods in the heart of downtown Phoenix. I wish we were here asking for an amount, but we really need the study we've been promised to be completed. We're here to ask for that to happen and the amount required to fix 13th Street appear on the preliminary budget by the time we have these hearings next year. Thank you.
Thanks, Gabriela. Thank you. Thank you. So you guys have been coming to all the budget hearings, and our city engineer has gone back to find the report, and they found it, and they're starting to pull that together. So thank you. Drew Maxwell, followed by Craig Tripp.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Drew Maxwell. I'm the Operations Director at Arizona School for the Arts, just down the street. And I actually came tonight to say a few positive things to begin with and a couple things we also want to emphasize for the budget. First of all, how pleased we are with the balanced budget and also the incoming revenues, and I think the stewardship of the city has been great. The school is especially happy with the Phoenix Police Department, and we're also excited to see the increase in the arts funding that has been proposed. We'd love to see that increased even further as the years go on, something that, of course, is very important to our arts community here in this area in particular, but it's something that we're pleased to see. We're also really pleased to see the introduction of new parks rangers. That makes a big difference in our neighborhood here, especially at Hance Park. And the parks rangers, especially across the city, provide a kind of coverage that help to relieve some of the stress that police officers experience in our neighborhoods. A couple of things that we really want to emphasize and see increased. Homeless services, and I see that there is some of those things in the budget this year, but we think there's a fundamental flaw in kind of the way in which we're dealing with the Human Services campus. So we'd like to see the city take kind of the lead role in redefining how that Human Services campus is funded in a more robust way. So I've recently visited there, and I know that Andre House and St. Vincent de Paul are interested in an emergency shelter again, and we'd like to see the city zone that properly and also find a way to help fund that in a way that is long-term and sustainable. That's important, we think, because we know that there are many people who live in this neighborhood on the streets and would actually be very well served by an emergency shelter that had a low barrier entry. And by what I mean by that is that maybe they have pets, maybe they have some of the impediments that would not allow them to get into our typical shelter system, but this would give them a place to be that's safe and perhaps off our streets near our schools. The other thing I want to advocate for is light rail. So I know light rail has become a bit of a contentious issue with the council, but we really want to advocate for light rail, particularly schools in the downtown core. Many of our students actually come from Levine, and I think you know that, Councilman. I do as well. I live in Levine, and many of our, interestingly enough, I think it's like our second zip code, largest zip code of students at ASA. We have zip codes from all over the whole entire metropolitan area. So we'd like to see light rail extended even as far as Levine someday. And we know that's a long-term goal, but we think light rail is very important. We see that our students are beginning to use it more, and this neighborhood is very impacted by traffic. So as you said when you sat with our former mayor coming out of the restaurant, you saw the towers, and I know you know this is an issue. Traffic in the next year in this particular neighborhood is going to increase significantly. The streets department has been very responsive to us and helped us in that regard, but we also really want to see light rail increased and supported in a long-term sustainable way. So thank you for all your efforts. We've got a very positive relationship with the city, and we're glad to see it's continuing.
Craig Tribkin, followed by Fred Ulrich.
Thank you, Councilman Nowakowski and Mr. Zerker. Thank you for holding these hearings. I'm here to speak on behalf of CAS, Central Arizona Shelter Services. The gentleman mentioned the Human Services Campus and shelter. We are the largest operating shelter in the state. We have been operating for 35 years, and we think we know what we're doing, and we evolve. I'm quickly going to tell you, and I'll try to race through this so I hit my 3 minutes. First off, we've done our part this last year. We have increased our fundraising by 78%, which is an increase of almost $500,000. We've gotten a 53% increase from regional cities, which I know is very important to this city and to the council. Things we've accomplished, I'll be very brief. We got a grant for new senior navigators. We acquired a building in Glendale to provide services out there. We got a grant for a West Valley housing navigator, and a bunch of other numbers which you have in front of you. The most important part of what I have to say, I guess, well, the second most important part, is we are facing an increased financial burden that is uncontrollable. We are looking at cuts from United Way, increase in general salaries and benefits, and Human Services Campus facility charge. First, United Way, we can't do anything about that. They are simply cutting back, and they're cutting back across the board in a lot of places. General salaries, that's benefits, it's not adding a lot of personnel. It's not adding any personnel that I know of. Increased Human Services Campus facility charge. The gentleman mentioned the Human Services Campus. The Human Services Campus is wanting to charge rent and spread the expenses out among all the tenants, not including themselves, but that's something which is going to be a significant problem and could be, we're estimating $200,000, but if you look at what they're saying, could be as much as $400,000. So we're looking at $546,000 decrease in money. We are going to next year, and it's important for me to promise this stuff, we're going to open the Ramsey Norton Glendale Success Center. We're going to provide 10 beds for for seniors and people with chronic health problems. We're going to pilot a hospital handoff program so that when they release people, they're not in effect dumping them. We're going to co-locate behavioral health. We're going to, well, you can read this yourself, and I'll leave it at that. Lastly, I guess my ask is this. We'd like the city to cover half of the deficit, which we cannot control. That's $258,000. We will raise the other half. We will do our part. We will continue to do our part. And then, this is important, and I don't want to get into the weeds too much, but we need partial relief from the narrowly specific cost reimbursement model that we currently have with the city. We need to have more agile, flexible, and nimble funding. Basically, what we have is a contract with the city that says, we'll pay you for a caseworker. We submit time cards and the hours for that caseworker. We get reimbursed. Well, that doesn't expand the horizons of addressing homelessness. That doesn't push us out to where we want to be. And and improve the situation, not simply tread water with where we are. And I can give you more, but thank you very much.
Fred Ulrich, followed by Jana Boomersbach.
Hello, my name is Fred Ulrich. I'm an arts and culture advocate, and I'm a member of the Arts and Culture Commission. I first want to start off by thanking the council for its support last year in the budget, really tremendous, and this year as well. We meetings very much appreciate, we discuss, we very much appreciate the direction that it looks like it's going. In particular, the level of support in the trial budget of $25,000 for grants for at-risk communities and youth, and then $100,000, a little bit more this year, $100,000 for public art maintenance, which is a very important thing for us. I'm a resident, a relatively new resident of the 7th District. I moved from the 8th. My wife and I bought property in Midtown Phoenix. We enjoy Phoenix, and in particular all the arts and cultural activities downtown. And we realize management, city management, gets the importance of the arts and culture. In particular, support of the Office of Art and Culture for services of all ages. The grants program funds 60 of the 170 not-for-profit arts and culture organization. The Office of Arts and Culture oversees 7 city-owned cultural facilities. And then in the past 30 years, there have been designs and installations of about 190 public art projects. And they have been, a lot of them with great success. And we also talk that there is quite a bit of other cities looking at the city of Phoenix as to how you incorporate arts and culture into the fabric of the city. So I think you all deserve a lot of appreciation, and I'm here giving you that right now. Also, though, my thoughts about this budget hearing and my comments remind me of a story for something that happened 50 years ago this month. My old boss, I came from the Chicago area. I was working at a national laboratory, and my old boss, Robert Wilson, was building the laboratory back in 1969, and he was asked to speak in Congress for a joint committee on atomic energy, and he was being questioned by Senator Pastore. I don't think connected. Pastore from Rhode Island. And Senator Pastore started his questioning by saying, is there anything connected in the hoax of this accelerator that in any way involves the security in the country? Dr. Wilson added, no, it has nothing to do with the military, I'm sorry. Pastore pressed on. He said, is there anything here that projects us in the position of being competitive with the Russians with regard to this race? And the race I think he was talking about was the arms race. And Dr. Wilson said, it has only to do with the respect with which we regard one another, the dignity of men and women, and our love of culture. It has nothing to do directly with defending our country, except to help make it worth defending. So you could take those questions somewhat here tonight, and you could ask questions like, will funding for the arts and culture in Phoenix directly help the homeless population, or make our streets safer, or make our water conservation efforts more successful? And I would have to answer, or I think anybody that would be thinking about it would have to answer, nothing directly, except that it will help our city worth more to live in, to work in, and to visit. So with that in mind, I'm suggesting a bigger picture that the arts and culture provides. And I really do appreciate the support that you've shown, and we hope that you continue it. So thank you very much.
Jana Boomersbach, followed by Jim McPherson.
very much. And I don't think you should sell yourself short because, yes, indeed, these facilities are important to help the safety of our city because they help in so many different ways. My name is Jenna Boomersbach. I'm here representing the Friends of the Phoenix Public Library, a group that you know very well. It's one of your oldest support groups. We've been around since 1977, and we bring a strong, vibrant, and voting group to all city adventures. We are thrilled to hear you are giving us back Sunday hours at 4 of our libraries. You know that a decade ago, every library, all 17 libraries in this city were open every day, every library. All 17 were. And since then, we have had to cut back because of financial situations. And this year, we were able to put back at least the 4 horrible situations where they were closed Sundays, which is the only day that a lot of families, working families, can even go to the library with their children, right? But, Mr. Mikulski, I have to tell you that, unfortunately, some of those districts libraries are in your district, and they will stay closed on Mondays. You have 4 districts, four libraries in your district alone, in District 7, that are either closed on Monday or on Friday. There are another 7 libraries that are closed on Fridays. We have, in every single district in this city, we have a library that's not open all the time. And they are necessary to be open all the time. And so while we cheer getting back Sunday hours, we hope that you will study very strongly, restoring Monday and Friday hours as well, because those are so important. We've had, there are 2 districts, your District 7, and then also Councilwoman Stark's District number 3. She has 3 different libraries that are closed many times. There's only one district, District 2, that only has 1. All the rest have multiple libraries that are suffering. So I'm hoping that you will think about how important it is for our libraries to be open, every library, every day. Thank you.
Thanks, Janet. Jim McPherson, followed by Daryl Kriplian.
Councilman Nowakowski, Mr. Zerker, thank you again for hosting this meeting. I'm going to take a different tack. There are like 15, 20 people, 15, 20 people in the audience that I know, either in staff or in members of organizations, and they're all doing worthy things. Instead of cutting the pie or just slicing up the pie, we need to increase the pie. We need a bond program for all the sectors of our economy. The last one was in 2006. It's time. We need it for parks, we need it for water, we need it for homeless, we need it for education. Who else is out there that I know? Economic development, libraries. We need it for all those segments of our community, and it's time. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Daryl Kriplian will be followed by Sebastian Diamond.
Good evening. I'm here as a city employee. I have served as the police department for the past 25 years proudly as a police officer. I worked in the Maryville precinct for 22 and a half of those. I'm currently assigned to the Phoenix Law Enforcement Association office as the elected treasurer and lead negotiator. And I'm here tonight to just simply talk about our ongoing negotiations between the Unit 4, the rank and file police officers of the city of Phoenix, and to touch on the fire side as well. The city of Phoenix let me start over. Public safety workers have helped taxpayers in the city of Phoenix to avoid catastrophic service cuts after the Great Recession struck in 2008. The city essentially stopped hiring public safety workers. Just as importantly, Phoenix police officers and firefighters agreed to take pay cuts and furlough days beginning in 2010. These concessions were not fully restored until July of 2018, 8 years later. Restoring these concessions does nothing to address the rising costs of living in Phoenix during this 10-year time period. Phoenix police officers and firefighters earn approximately 17.5% less than they did in 2010 because of the impact of inflation on their stagnant salaries. Additionally, the Phoenix public safety labor organizations have been at the forefront of efforts to reform the city's pension system and the state's public safety personnel retirement system. Supported by membership, our organizations work to voluntarily reduce retirement benefits for police officers and firefighters. We literally funded the campaigns and knocked on thousands of doors to support ballot measures that cut our own retirement benefits. For the past 10 years, we have done more with less. Our jobs get more difficult and more dangerous every day. The workload and stress levels for frontline public safety workers in Phoenix has spiked over the last 10 years. So has the city's population. Today, the city of Phoenix has 1.62 million residents. That's approximately 200,000 more residents than the city had in 2008, according to the U.S. Census. Today, the Phoenix Police Department has nearly 500 fewer police officers than it employed in 2008. Currently, Phoenix employs approximately 2,900 total sworn officers. That's 228 less than the city manager's publicly stated goal of 3,125 sworn police officers to be on the job by 7/1 of 18. Rank and file officers and detectives account for approximately 2,500 of the 2,900 members of the department. There will be approximately 80 mandatory retirements this year, from the assistant chief on down to detective and officers due to the DROP program. Over 630 sworn officers of all ranks can effectively walk away from the job today, and over 1,500 can retire within the next 4 years. Many of them are waiting to see what this contract brings. The new talk of many officers and detectives is 20 and out, foregoing participating in DROP. In fiscal year 2010, the PPD answered 656,000 dispatch calls for service. In fiscal year 18, we answered over 899,000 dispatch calls. That's an increase of approximately 37%. In 2008, the Phoenix Fire Department had 1,677 sworn firefighters. They answered over 149,000 emergency calls. Last year, the Phoenix Fire Department had approximately 1,668 sworn firefighters, and they answered over 212,000 emergency calls. That's the same manpower spread over more than 500 square miles, answering 42% more calls they did 10 years prior. In 2018, the Phoenix Police Department had 44 officer-involved shootings. The department had 21 such shootings the prior year. This doubling underscores the increasingly dangerous nature of this job. These incidents have also drawn national media and activist attention, raising the stakes and the pressure faced by police officers on the street. Patrol officers are covering larger areas with fewer resources. Call response times are up, which equates to poor customer service to our community. Detective caseloads continue to pile up as attrition has taken its toll on investigative positions. Traffic enforcement, including DUI-specific enforcement, is minimal due to the fewer than 60 motor officers citywide that we currently have, from a peak of approximately 150 around a decade ago. We can't hire new police recruits fast enough to keep pace with attrition, and potential candidates question our recruiters about why they should work for Phoenix when they can go to an agency like Goodyear, Buckeye, or Mesa and make more money with less workload and much less risk. What we are asking for in this contract is fairness. Phoenix police officers and firefighters want to catch up to the cost of living. Over the past decade, Phoenix police officers and firefighters have stepped up in every way to help taxpayers and the city. We agreed to pay cuts and furloughs. We have gone a decade without a meaningful pay raise. We have led campaigns to cut our own retirement benefits. We have done all of this to preserve public safety and necessary services to this city, a city which we love. All we are asking for is what's fair. We are willing to meet the challenge of an expanding workload. We are willing to take on more danger, more stress, and more public criticism. We are willing to put our lives on the line to keep the city and its citizens safe. All we want is for someone who has worked 10, 15, or 20 years on the front lines not to be earning approximately 18% less than they were 10 years ago. We have helped this city move forward. Now we want to stop moving backward when it comes to our pay and benefits. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Darryl. Just one point on that. Darryl mentioned we are at 2,900 officers. I think in the academy we just now are over 3,000. But the point is we're authorized for 3,125 police officers, and we are actively recruiting to fill that number. So we need to find people, as Darryl said, who are willing and capable, and it's a hard job, and it's a very rigorous entry. But if you know young people or even middle-aged people who want to be a Phoenix police officer, we are always recruiting and looking for qualified people to be police officers. But thank you for sharing. Sebastian Diamond is followed by Dan Clockey.
Good evening. My name is Sebastian Diamond, and I also sit on the Friends of the Phoenix Public Library with my esteemed colleague Jana, who is very eloquent and passionate about it, and I think everybody that is on the board is passionate. I serve as the treasurer for the board, and I also am a commercial banker and work downtown in the district. So that means I'm a numbers guy. So I was elated to see that we have our Sunday hours back through the Phoenix Public Library systems. And I wanted to echo some of Jana's comments with some of the details behind what the libraries have been able to provide. So as a numbers guy, it's about the story. It's not necessarily about the numbers, but it's about the story behind the numbers. So just to highlight a few things that the libraries have been able to do. Over 200,000 children in early literacy and reading programs were given a better chance at succeeding in school. Something that's very poignant is that in this very room in the College Depot, over 11,000 individuals received assistance in completing high school equivalency, college admittance, and financial aid applications. We've also connected over 10,000 job seekers to career resources and have provided over 21,000 healthy meals to hungry children through the Kids Cafe. In all, we've given over 800,000 hours of computer access and internet access, and we've had 3.3 million patrons visit the library, which is an amazing accomplishment, but we still need to have more because literacy is so important. Right now in the city of Phoenix, only 79% of our third graders are at a reading proficiency. And we know that children of parents with low literacy skills have a 72% chance of being at the lowest reading levels themselves. And only 37% of our students are graduating with graduate high school at or above reading proficiency. And this has a profound effect to the economy. If we look at this on a national scale, low literacy rates add an estimated $230 million to the country's annual health care costs, and an additional $225 billion each year in non-productivity in the workforce. So that's why it's so important that we gain access to the libraries to allow those people to come in, not only to take part of literacy programs, but all the programs that we represent for the library. So I thank you for what's been accomplished in the preliminary budget. But again, we'd love to see that all of our libraries are open 7 days a week. Thank you very much.
Thanks. And just to illustrate some detail, in the budget, we are converting almost 9 equivalent positions from temporary to permanent for First Things First, to do what you said, which is support early literacy. So thank you for bringing that up. Dan Clockey will be followed by Ryan Tempest.
Good evening, Councilman Nowakowski, Mr. Zerker. Good to see you both. My name is Dan Clockey. I'm here briefly about 2 things. One, as a member of the Historic Preservation Commission, I want to say thank you. Thank you for adding some funding to the budget on that and considering some additional funds as well. So it's really important. HP has not had a lot of funds since those bond funds have basically dried up. And so this is going to be a really big help. So thank you. Second, I want to talk about something called family reunification. These are funds that can be used for a subset of folks who are homeless. About 15 to 20% of people who are living on the street actually have family or friends that they may be able to go and live with that aren't in Phoenix. But they have no way to get back there because they're literally penniless. Folks often will come to Phoenix thinking there's an opportunity, something goes sideways, they wind up on the streets. The other part of that is domestic violence in terms of women and their kids not having a home to go back to if there's incidents and they're too scared to go there. So this funding is funding that can be deployed rapidly. There are organizations that have been doing this for a long time. It's just simply a matter of resources. And so organizations like St. Vincent de Paul, Cass, Craig Tripkin, they do this a lot, Andre House and so forth. This is a method where volunteers and existing staff, you don't need to hire new people for this, can connect folks who are on the street with friends and family who are probably in other cities. And the key to this is not about buying a bus ticket and shoving somebody out of town. That's not the point of it. The point is to actually connect people with their family and their friends, make sure that there is someone on the other end who can truly take care of that family. So what I would like to ask for, if possible, is $500,000, which I know is an awful lot of money. But because a bus ticket or a one-way plane ticket can be $200 to $300 to get you across the country, that is an incredible savings in terms of the time, the energy, the resources that city staff needs to put into all these different cases. The police, human services, parks, and so forth. Literally, to try to house someone like that, this could be thousands and thousands of dollars. This is an easier way to actually solve the problem without costing nearly as much in terms of resources. So what that also does then is free up resources to help those who are chronically homeless and are going to have a little bit more in terms of issues to deal with, more housing needs, and so forth. Second thing is that I think everyone can sort of wrap their arms around that. It's not a controversial kind of thing. You're getting somebody to their home. The third thing is that it's smart economically. It just makes sense from a resource allocation perspective to only spend limited amounts of money to solve a problem for those that it would work for. And it's not everyone, but it is a certain portion of the subset of folks who are homeless. So I'd ask you to consider it. I'm happy to talk to you more about it if you're interested. Thank you.
Ryan Tempest will be followed by Jessica Bristow.
Hello, my name is Ryan Tempest, and I'm a board member of Friends of Phoenix Public Art. So we're a nonprofit organization that helps advocate and raise money for the maintenance of public art. Fred kind of talked about the greatness of Phoenix Public Art Program. To touch on a couple things, we have 190 exterior public art pieces and roughly 2,000 interior pieces, like framed pieces that would be out on the inside and galleries and everything. We have a public art gallery in City Hall, which is fantastic. Something that a lot of people kind of forget about or don't really think about is that, particularly with our exterior public art, it requires maintenance. It's exposed to elements, to weather, the sun, to vandalism, and just slow deterioration over the years. And we really need funding for the maintenance of that art to keep that looking as beautiful as it did when we first put it in, instead of being more of an eyesore and something that we kind of forget about. Last year, you guys helped raise the budget for the funding of public art maintenance, and I want to thank you for that, and just ask that with this year's budget surplus, that any little bit that we can help to continue to increase that maintenance budget is just going to be better for our city in the long run, because we'll have a place of pride that we can actively enjoy these great pieces of art that our community members have given to us. So thank you.
Thank you, Jessica Bristow. Jessica will be followed by Ginny Ann Sumner.
Hi everyone, I hope you guys are having a good day. Sorry if my voice sounds a little low. There's two things I really want to talk about. The first being, and I'm sure the City Council is very aware of this, the dissatisfaction from Phoenix communities on the amount of funding going to the Phoenix PD. We should not be funding the police force. We need to fund our education system, which, as we know, in our city of Phoenix is extremely defunded. Our schools are barely scraping by. Teachers are having to pull out of pocket to provide for their children in the classroom. Classroom sizes are extraordinarily large. And so the money that is being funded for militarization of our communities should be funded to educate our communities, because our children are the future of our city. And if they're not properly being educated, they're not going to be able to grow up and become what the city needs of them, and to increase our economic development and to increase the holistic future of our city, if there is going to be one. The second thing I really want to talk about is our natural physical environment, which I did not see much of on the budget other than road landscaping. And so there's two things that I think Phoenix really needs to focus on. The first, as you guys know, we live in a desert, so we don't get a lot of water. And does anyone know about the drought contingency plan and the drought we're in? Right, so this beautiful group of 3 people over here talked about storm water management. And I really think that the city could invest in stormwater management to recharge the aquifers that are underneath us, because the amount of water that falls for rain isn't that much, but every drop of water has an intrinsic value, because we cannot live without water. And so we really need to invest to create more surplus underneath us, because we cannot only allow on the rely on the Colorado River because it is drying up. And the second thing, with that, sorry, I have some notes. So there's a couple different things that our city is going to be dealing with in the future. Our communities will be dealing with increased temperatures, vulnerability to extreme heat, the urban heat island effect, unpredictable storms, food deserts, water crisis, poor public transportation, which has also been touched on today, and gentrification in our neighborhoods with the increase in living expenses, which was also touched on today. And so we really need to invest in some shading structures, some more green spaces in our communities, because, I mean, we live in a concrete city, and so this is urban, and we really need to invest. I mean, it's hot here. How many of you guys think it's hot here? It's really hot here. And so if we can work and to invest into more infrastructure that can cool down our communities, I think that would be very beneficial. So I appreciate you guys for giving me the time to talk today. Have a good night.
Thanks, Jessica. In last year's budget, we did add money for trees and shade, and on this upcoming Tuesday, the council is going to be talking about the city's heat readiness plan, so I'd invite you to come to that or tune in on Tuesday afternoon and hear more about that. But thank you for being here this evening. Ginny Ann Sumner, and Ginny Ann will be followed by Hilda Hernandez.
Good evening, and thank you for this opportunity. I have a couple things I'd like to say, even though I'd made comments last year that maybe I wouldn't show up at a budget hearing, I have to admit, but I care too much about our city not to. I do have a couple requests, and one is, may we please stop waiting until budget season to discuss the concerns, questions, and issues regarding police and fire budgets. Social sustainability and public safety are the basis of a livable city. And while I appreciate the need to summarize comments, my concern is that how they are synthesized. And last year was an example. The issues and solutions for homeless population and the transient population are not the same, but where they were combined last year to one word, homelessness. And being misquoted last year in the summaries, I'd like to keep it very simple this year, please. So yes to park rangers. Yes to repeat offenders program police officers. Yes to additional police officers with equitable compensation for new and existing officers. Thank you.
Thank you, Ginny Ann. Thank you. Hilda Hernandez.
Right here.
And she'll be followed by Ryan Boyd. Now, Ryan is the last card I have, so if there are anybody else who's inspired to speak, now's your chance to get a card, turn it in. We'll go to Hilda.
I have to read it. I'm really nervous. Hello, my name is Hilda Hernandez. I'm a Marine Corps veteran and a senior citizen. I'm here to plead for funds for the rental rehab program, specifically for the Oakland District, and in particular for my project at 1347 West Taylor Street, and at least $180,000, but really any amount would be helpful to improve the area. In 2009, I purchased 2 adjacent lots into abandoned small homes on each one. I worked with as many city resources as I found. I picked up trash, covered graffiti. I became a blight buster. At the time, I had lost my well-paid job in California, so I thought I was going to end up homeless. After buying my little houses with my severance pay, I was informed of the many grants for which the houses qualified, such as historic preservation and the lead-based paint removal. While going through the process, I was approached by the rental rehab program. They advised me to combine my 2 lots so that I could qualify for their program that required 4 houses in 1 lot. Rental rehab began the process, and in doing so, made a hole this big. and they covered it with these pieces of cardboard. They ran out of money, and then they abandoned my program, my project, and the whole stayed like that. As you can see, somebody walked over it and went into it. A couple of years ago, Rental Rehab got some more funds, and I was demanded to be present. I live in California still. I couldn't come over. I was in nursing school, and I wasn't given permission to come. So they ran out of funds again, so I'm still trying to do this on my own. The lead program was recently initiated, again on my homes. They have been tested. They've done most of the preliminary work to qualify them. But when I combined my lots, I was not informed that I would lose half of the lead grant and half of the HP grant. So each one was 60,000. So I lost 30 from each one. I've tried to separate the lots, but was denied because they say that I wasn't grandfather's status to the setbacks. Rental rehab funds would really help me beautify my homes. I've taken a lot of the extra junk that was added to the homes, and I've gotten them ready for the lead program in HB so that when the homes are beautified, they will be featured for that corner. In closing, I'd like to point that the rental rehab program in my area is actually a loan that is only partially forgivable. So I'm not asking you for full funds just to help me. I will pay you back. I have to. They put a lien on the home, and I'm not allowed to sell it for almost 2 decades. And I'm also required to rent to low-income families. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Hilda. If you can make sure you stay around afterwards, we'll get some folks with Spencer right there. We'll catch you on your specific issue. Thank you. Ryan Boyd, and Ryan will be followed by Cathy Cale.
Good evening. My name is Ryan Boyd. I live over at 4th Street and McKinley. Thank you guys so much for the opportunity to be here. I really wanted to just take my time to talk a lot about the affordability crisis that the city is going through. And so with that, the City of Phoenix is growing at a massive rate, which is really good. People want to come down here. People want to be part of the City of Phoenix. It's a great place to live. But with that, the development that we're seeing is still very tailored to upscale, high rents, all these other things, and that's putting a lot of pressure on the rest of the market and, in fact, the city's public housing. So with that in mind, there's a lot of things that I think we can do up front, and to echo Mr. Dan Clockey, one of the biggest things I think could be using a family reunification program, getting the money to basically say, if we can get people who, for whatever reason, have been just down on their luck, connected with their support networks, connected with their communities. That's what basically succeeds at bringing us together. And so the $500,000 for that kind of reimbursement program could go a long ways to helping out with what we're doing immediately here, as we can see. And then on a longer term situation, with the Human Services Campus as well as CAS and what Mr. Tripkin was talking about here, there's a lot of different things. One of the ideas that had been talked about with some of the downtown Phoenix groups, such as Downtown Voices Coalition, slow down a bit, is something like reimbursing, well actually not reimbursing, but basically waiving utility costs for the CAS and the Human Services campuses. And other ways, again, deferring though to Mr. Tripkin to whatever would be helpful to get that campus to its maximum efficiency. In a longer term situation here, I think there needs to be more resources in the pot, just as Mr. McPherson said. There's a lot of great things here. There's a lot of things that we can be doing to do more for the city of Phoenix, but we are limited by what we have right now. A bond to go ahead and take all these issues and really provide an extra infusion of energy while we still have this upward market, while we still have this upward energy, while people are still coming in before we are faced with tough choices and that a future economic recession would be immensely helpful, and this is the opportunity to do it. And then lastly, I just want to say that I support the community's participatory budgeting in the budget. I know Phoenix Union High School District is one of the first in the nation to go through with this, and this is an amazing thing because we can have these conversations on a more regular basis, and really, again, when Phoenicians work together, that's when things get done. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ryan. Thank you. Our final speaker, unless I get another card here interjected, is Cathy Cale.
Hi, my name is Cathy Cale. I retired from the city 10 years ago. I worked for the city proudly for 30 years before that, and I just wanted to say that I'm glad to see that the city is finally coming out of the Great Recession that led to my early retirement. They gave me extra money to go away early. I was one of the lucky ones. But I wanted to specifically say that I'd like to see all of the city services restored to their levels that they were prior to the Great Recession. Police, fire, my own special heart goes out to the fire department where I worked for 20 years. But specifically tonight, because of the Friends of the Library, they sent me a notice about this meeting tonight. I came out, and I really want to urge the City Council to really look seriously about adding back the Monday, Friday hours too, because again, the library is an incredible resource. I was in here about once a week after I retired for the first few years. Now it's not quite as often, but it is a great service. It is a great resource, and I'd like to see the hours restored more sooner than later. So thank you.
Thanks, Cathy. That's all the cards we have. I'll turn it over to conclude to our Councilman Nowakowski.
First of all, thank you all for your ideas and your thoughts and your concerns. We hear you loud and clear about the 13th Street in Monroe, Maryland. And I think we're going to have some, is there anybody from streets here that can actually maybe direct those marks right back there? He can actually maybe sit down and talk to you all about that, and hopefully you can work that out. The other things is that the arts is so important. I mean, we've been pushing and pushing for more funding for the arts, especially for those underserved communities, to make sure that we have those art programs, because when you cut school programs and resources at the school level, the first programs to go are the arts. So we want to make sure that we have those fundings for those after-school programs also. And the homeless, I mean, we've been trying to work, and we've been working hard to come up with a solution, and we're trying to work with our other cities and make it more of a regional approach also. So we're going to continue doing that and making sure that we spend the monies wisely when it comes to the homeless and the light rail. I wish we had enough funding where we can go all the way to Levine, where I live out there too. So that's one of the dreams that we all have in the city of Phoenix, is more funding, but also the libraries. We've really tried to open up all of our libraries how they were back in 2008, and we're going to continue advocating for that and making sure that all of our libraries are open. The libraries aren't just a place to come check out books or to use the computer and read books. It's also a community center. I mean, it's just so amazing that it's workforce development. Right here, this room right here is individuals graduating from high school are able to register to go to college and prepare themselves to go to college, looking for those scholarships and all that. So the libraries aren't the same type of libraries when I was growing up 40 years ago. And then, you know, I heard the importance of the parks and park rangers and making sure that people are safe out there, and then the streets and the police officers and firefighters, and that basically they sacrificed back in 2008, and we need to figure out a way to get back to those men and women that actually helped us get out of that bind. So we're working really hard to making sure that happens. One of the things that we learned is that there's about 153 of our employees that were basically being paid under $15 an hour. So we wanted to make sure that those individuals that are working hard, especially the the people that work out in the parks, the landscapers, and even the individuals that are helping out our police officers, those aides that we have, that they would all be paid at least $15 an hour. So 153 individuals in the city of Phoenix are going to now have a raise to about $15 an hour. So those are little things that we're giving back to our employees to say thank you. Thank you for providing all these great services, but at the same time, we want to thank you by giving you the resources that you all need. So with that, I'd like to thank you all. We recorded it. I know that all my colleagues can have a chance to review the videos, and I'm going to be reviewing all the different videos from the different districts that I'm not able to go to. So God bless and thank you so much.